Hi, I'm Kevin Tame. Welcome to The Hacktivist. Today I am recording and commenting over the SOCR 5 round number 2 match that I played. I played this a few weeks ago and I just didn't have a chance to be able to comment over it and share it. So I'm kind of catching up on some of my videos right now. So let's jump right into this match. My opponent is playing Steve and I am playing as Mariad Tech. And then I am playing Ayla, and my opponent is playing PE. So let's jump into check to see how these matches go. Okay, so this is a pretty good starting hand. I have some ice, I have hedge fund, and I draw into an IPO. I mean, it can't get much better, right? My opponent does have turtle, which is a bit of a pain, but wraparound can do some work here. Losing that early Beal is not ideal because I want to be able to use Beal to be able to, just install in a server and then score out. So I'm actually really liking this play right now. I think this is a good opportunity for me to be able to jam this Beal. I have plenty of money. I'm able to res this ice and able to score it out. I do run the risk of losing some more agendas on R&D, but my next play is here to put the wraparound down to try and keep my opponent out. So yeah, just go for that, and hopefully I can, either find another agenda next turn or maybe even score an echo chamber. And I go for the Maryland because I want to be able to, get some money. I'm probably at a point as well where my opponent has a lot of counters, so it's probably good to purge. But I'm going to wait here. Once they're at 6 or 7, then I'm going to purge. And the reason I put that calibration testing in there is for when I draw another, I'm saving it just for when I draw Beal, because I want to, and usually it's kind of like an end of the gameplay. There's not really good fast advance hate like Clot. There is the source, but, and my opponent is playing Creation and Control, but there's actually a chance they could be playing the source because they do have access to Fall Guy and whatnot. So, yeah, what I'm really looking for now is just an agenda to be able to jam out. Because I have plenty of money. I don't think my opponent, if I can find one here in the next turn or so, I'll be in pretty good shape. Because then I would be able to, I'll be able to jam, in this remote. Because I also have the Ash, which I'll be able to deal with. My opponent went pretty poor having to deal with that trace, unfortunately. Here I drew it just a little too late, and I don't want Sneak Door Beta to come in and start wrecking my hand. So I go for the... Now I'm in a position where my opponent's pretty poor. So jamming out this is a good opportunity. And that's actually really painful for my opponent because they're going to lose their fractor. And that is the fractor is not cheap to reinstall. So it's kind of a tempo hit for them. And now I'm just in a position where I can either try and score out 2 echo chambers, or I can wait and try and find the Beal. Right now my plan is just to put echo chambers in, and then just try and win that way. See if my opponent can contest it. And what's kind of nice here is the SSL is giving me the credits I need to be able to maintain. So Toll Booth is going to keep my opponent out, which is good. And it's nice because I have SSL to kind of help me recover a little bit. And now if I find Beal or Echo Chamber, I'll be in a good spot. And yeah, since I'm kind of short on credits, I want to just get an extra 5 here from NGO. That's kind of my play. My opponent does have to contest this, but the nice thing is I'm able to. So even if my opponent's able to contest, I still think I can keep my opponent out with Ash. So I'm doing the math right now. I'm trying to figure it out. So like if I don't res and I just use Ash, my opponent, and I boost so my opponent has to pay. My opponent can't afford to come back in again. Well, they actually can't get back in again. So I want to boost it by, I want to just knock them out. So I want to make sure that they don't get in at all. Yep, and now I have 4, because now my opponent can't get back in because they can't get to through Toll Booth, and I'm able to score out the Echo Chamber. Cool, so that was game number 1. Let's jump right into game number 2. Okay, so I'm on Ayla. Things I like to put on Ayla are, I don't like to put events on there because I think, unless it's Stimhack, Stimhack's the only one I ever really like to put on. This seems like a pretty good starting hand because I've Liberated and I have Laguna, and this like really helps me get set up pretty fast. So I'm going to start off by installing, taking a credit and then taking credits off of Liberated, so that next turn I can install Laguna and draw and then install some stuff. Feedback filter, I'm thinking about that because if my opponent starts scoring, I need to be able to protect, and I don't want to lose my feedback filter because it's my only one. I'm not going to prevent the net here. I'm just going to draw up. And I can't really afford any of this stuff right now. So yeah, it's just a matter of setting up. My opponent did get that House of Knives, and the House of Knives is kind of a pain here. In this match, I'm using Ma. So I'm hoping that I can be disruptive on HQ. My favorite plays are to run R&D and Ma things from their hand. So right now I just don't have the breakers and I'm not really set up, so I'm just trying to get money and trying to recover as much as I can. My opponent has an opportunity here to use House of Knives, but I don't think it's actually a good time for them because they want to do it when I'm like running, traps or anything like that. Now my board's in a pretty good state here. I have some good money coming in. I should be able to contest whatever my opponent puts in there. So I'm now thinking about how I can go after my opponent here. They might be able to score this agenda. Oh, and they already had one in there. So now I'm just gonna hit HQ. So Weir is an interesting one. I didn't actually expect to see this agenda, and this is actually pretty cheap for me to deal with. I do prevent the feedback filter. I use feedback filter because I knew I wanted to steal. If there was an Obokata, I wanted to try and steal it. It will get pretty expensive for me. I don't really have the money to be able to continue stealing it. And so I'm running a little poor here. Seeing 2 Obokatas off of HQ is great. That can't get any better for me. Because now there's only 1 Obokata left. And so anything that my opponent puts in this remote, they can get. So what I have to do is I actually need to disrupt their hand, because if they are running Biotic or Shipment from Tenon, I need to make sure that those never fire, that they never get to hold those into their hand, so that I can put pressure on this remote. So now I'm going to shift gears here a little bit, because I want my opponent to I want to them to force them to have to res. And make sure that I just need to make sure I run every time. And they're never going to be able to really, and I have all of the pieces I need to be able to continue to contest. So the one mistake I could make, so I got Levy on there. I'm just debating if I should do put Liberated down, kind of, get my hand set up again, because I'm running out of hand and I don't want to get to a point where I can't steal things. Wake Up Call is interesting. The good thing that doesn't fire with Ma. So unfortunately, I am a little poor. So if my opponent does want to jam here, they're able to. But I draw into this stim hack, so I'm able to go in, and I believe that there's nothing my opponent can really do about it. I'm just going to fem this, spend my money to fem it, because then I don't have any damage. And then I'm able to steal the Philotic. Yeah, my opponent, I think that was like kind of their play, was I was pretty poor, and so they were hoping that I would not be able to contest this. So yeah, I think that was the right play for my opponent, because they really needed to jam that out there. And it just happened that I drew into a stim hack, so I was pretty lucky. I don't know what the next piece of ice was. I mean, yeah, it is kind of annoying for my opponent, because I was able to put the fem on there. Otherwise, that's super taxing. So, like, let's say I draw up and then I hit that. It's going to cost me way too much to break. Anyways, really good matches. Those were fun to play. Cash Refresh is once again really interesting. Thanks to Fighting Walloon for putting this on. It's interesting though. This one has been, I haven't been into it as much, and I think part of it is that we had just recently done one and we jumped right into the next one. So maybe I needed a little break, but it's been harder for me to get into this tournament as much as it has in the past. But if anyone is interested, you guys should definitely join it. Check it out on StimHack. You can always check it out on Slack, and it's one of my favorite tournaments that's going on. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and like it, and then subscribe to my channel. And keep the conversation up. You can make comments that I love to chat about Netrunner. So thanks. Bye.